Welcome to the Executive Presence Spotlight Series, where we shine a light on how executive presence is actually generated. So we've been going over some of what I like to call the 6 degrees of executive presence, and today we're going to cover the topic of stillness, right? So stillness, it's a pretty broad word. So there's different things that come to mind when you hear the word stillness. So I just want to talk about 2 different types of stillness, just to clarify which one we're talking about here and what we mean by stillness. And in our first of the 6 degrees, we talked about being proactive, right? Which is, anticipating problems and being active and having that sort of mentality. So does that contradict the state of being of stillness? So it's important to understand how those 2 actually fit together and complement each other rather than contradict each other. So 2 types of stillness I'd like you to consider. One is the stillness of, let's say, a prey, right? Prey like hunter and prey. So, you're an animal and a bigger animal that's a predator of yours is hunting you, and you just, as a defensive mechanism, stay totally still. You're like frozen, right? Out of fear, right? So that's one type of stillness. Let's flip it around. There's actually the stillness as well of the hunter or the predator. Like if you think of any sort of like hunting cat, like a tiger or a lion, right? They are very still until they're not still. Or maybe an even better example is like a crocodile, right? Crocodiles are so still. I had this one friend who almost like was thinking about sticking his hand like in like a display because he thought the crocodile was fake, and everyone was like, no, don't do it. And in actuality, it was a real crocodile. He would have gotten a nasty surprise. So they are so still until it's time to not be still. So that's the kind of stillness we're talking about in terms of executive presence. There is real power in stillness. So by stillness, I don't mean paralysis. I mean that pause before the action. And why is that so powerful, right? If you think about when you're sharing something with someone, right? It's important that they have time to process what you're saying. If you talk too quickly, if you just keep going and you don't give them a moment to ask questions or process, your message, no matter how great it will be less powerful. Or take a piece of music, right? When we think of music, we sort of emphasize the sounds that are being made, right? But have you ever stopped to think what would happen if you had just a wall of sound and no silence in between, right? The music that we all know and love is only beautiful because it's a combination of action, which are the notes being played, and stillness, which is the silence in between the notes. So one other way I like to think about stillness is it's not like a lake that's frozen solid and no action can happen, right? Because a lot of times people think about stillness and they're like, oh, that person's not going to do anything. Stillness is not good. We want someone who's more active and running around and doing stuff. What I want you to think about instead is, instead of a frozen lake, it's more like a reservoir, right? With just a giant body of water, right? The water's like contained by the reservoir and it's still. But think about what happens when you open the dam to the reservoir. Think about the power that comes out of that dam and that can generate electricity for whole towns, or ruin a village if somehow the dam breaks and the reservoir breaks and all of a sudden the water comes flowing down. So there's tremendous power contained in the stillness. And it actually works as the other side of the coin of being proactive. So by being proactive and having that mentality that you will act when you need to, but also having stillness and not acting unless you need to, and when it's exactly the right moment to act, so you get the most benefit, the most power. That generates the most powerful results. And that results, as we talk about in our definition of executive presence, it's the ability to inspire confidence that you can lead well in a given situation. So when you embody that stillness and utilize that properly, people recognize that in you, and you will be recognized as having greater executive presence. So in our next episode, we are going to talk about another of the 6 degrees of executive presence. The next one will be being engaged. And I have one favor to ask. If you've been enjoying these tutorials, please just share it with one friend, right? Any one person you know, could be a partner, husband, wife, friend, significant other, could be a boss, could be someone on your team. Just one person you know who may benefit or enjoy these videos, please just let them know about them, send them a link, and I will greatly appreciate it. My name is Joe Kwon, the Connection Counselor. Remember, you can change your life, one connection at a time. Thank you. For more information about how to elevate your career, go to connectioncounselor.com for my blog, podcast, and free guides. If you'd like to find out more about how to make executive presence work for you or your team, email me at joe@connectioncounselor.com. Thank you.